Do you know what art is? Before I tell you my story, I want you to think back to your first contact with the art world. Do you remember your first visit to a gallery or a museum? And what did you think when you saw your first abstract painting? What is art? Some people say an artwork needs a deeper hidden message. Some think arts need to be political or religious or capture the society in it. Others say the last thing art should be is political or religious. Is art the product of a talented craftsman, or is it more the idea behind an object that turns something into art? Some people would even claim that this toilet is the most influential artwork of the last century, and I think it is. I had my first contact with art at the age of 8, when my mom took me to the biggest local museum in my hometown, Stuttgart. At this time, the museum exhibited big works from artists like Cy Twombly and Kandinsky. It was my first time I saw real art, and I totally didn't understand it. For me, these abstract works looked like big versions of my old kindergarten paintings, and I couldn't retrace where all the grown-ups looked at it for hours and discussed its hidden meanings and aesthetics. I wanted so deeply to understand what the secret of this art is that I made up a logical plan. What I understood as a kid was that stuff that hangs in an art museum is called art by the adults. So, if I one day would become the creator of a work that is exhibited in an art museum, I painted this by myself. If I one day would become the creator of a work that is exhibited in an art museum, it would my work an artwork, and me an artist. If I'm an artist, I would understand what art is, because I'm its creator. And artists know what art is. So, after I went back home from the museum, I immediately started to imitate the works I just saw. With watercolors and pencils, I tried to recreate the Kandinskys and Cy Twomblys, just in order to become an artist myself. The next day, I sent my works to the museum. And you don't believe it, they didn't want to exhibit it. After this first rejection, I came to the conclusion that imitation does not make you an artist. The artists in the museum didn't copy other artists. They were pioneers at their times. And so I wanted to become an innovative artist as well. And I wanted to develop my own style of creating art. The years passed by, and I tried a lot of different stuff. I tried to work with coins, with dollar bills, with glue, with metal, with wood, with plastic. For a women's rights campaign, I even painted with real blood, just in order to make my point against the female genital mutilation. And with my works out of coins, I won a school art competition in my little town. And I even started to sell a few pieces. And even though I was happy with this first recognition of my work, I was not totally satisfied. And so I stopped working with these kinds of materials. I knew there had to be something else, which was not only new and unique, but also fitted to my personal taste. And it needed over a dozen years after my first visit to the art museum until I finally achieved a result I was satisfied with. This macro shot shows the surface of one of my new works. 5 years ago, I started to work with gold leaf, black sand, and white sand, which was not only a new combination of materials with a great recognition value, also the techniques allows a very special way to reveal the artwork. This and similar videos reached over 500 million people via Instagram and Facebook. Big platforms like Viral Thread, Art Daily, and Insider Magazine started to share it and to repost it, and they all went viral. From one day to another, a lot in my life changed. And to make a long story short, this viral success even helped me to open my first international solo exhibition in a gallery in New York City, to receive my first real art prize in Italy, and finally to open my first solo exhibition in a contemporary art museum. Many people would now say that I am indeed an artist now who probably knows what art is. And 8-year-old Tim would totally agree. But I learned that it is not that simple. I realized that a special technique or special material does not make me an artist. Working with sand, gold, coins, or painting critical motifs in blood does not make me an artist. Being an artist is more about to question the status quo and to constantly seek for the new and innovative. It's about being curious on how we create art, how the art market works, and how we humans see and consume art. Another thing I realized is that many people are scared about contemporary art. Most people do not even dare to have their own opinion about it. When I talk to people at my openings, the most conversations start like this. Tim, I'm not an art expert, but your work is fascinating, interesting, boring. Okay, fortunately, boring does not happen very often. But why do so many people need to justify their own opinion with the fact that they are not an art expert or maybe didn't study art history? I mean, imagine this behavior in another creative field, like music. When the people listen to the new Rihanna song on the radio, they do not say, "Oh, I didn't study the history of music, but I like the beats and the vibe of this new Rihanna song." People just say, "Hey, this is a cool song, let's turn up the volume." They add it to their Spotify playlist, or if they don't like it, they just change the radio station. But why can't people enjoy art like they enjoy music? I mean, the access to art has never been easier. And even though social media does not replace the gallery visit and to see art in person, it gives us the freedom to indulge in art from all over the globe, without any museum's curator who can decide what we are or aren't able to see. We can follow and like what we want. Almost like a radio for art. We can decide. But still, it seems that many people have the feeling that only elite experts are allowed to have a real opinion on art. And this uncertainty of having your own opinion is shown quite well in a statistic which I saw in a presentation of art historian Magnus Resch. He presented that from 2007 to 2017, the number of annual sold artworks decreased by 20%. And this even though the number of millionaires has more than doubled in the same time. So the problem is not the money, and the problem is not the general interest in art. I think the problem is a disconnection between the majority of people and an art world which seems to be determined by a few experts. If we would fix this disconnection and give the people more confidence in their own view on art, everybody would profit. In the end, only people who trust their own opinion will enjoy and buy an artwork. But how could we achieve this? We need to start an interdisciplinary dialogue with people from all backgrounds. In my hometown, we founded a platform where we invite people from all generations and all professions to get in touch with over 20 young and local artists. Since 4 years, we organize an annual event, an annual exhibition, where the artists mingle with the visiting crowd and answer all their questions face to face. This creates a very appreciative atmosphere that both sides can profit from. And we want to inspire more artists and more galleries to open themselves up for these kind of dialogues in order to give more people the confidence to enjoy art on their own way. Maybe this could lead to people daring to buy stuff they actually like. And maybe even this TEDx stage could be the beginning of a great dialogue. But wait, do you know what art is now? Me neither. And we all shouldn't take this question too serious. If it would be too easy to answer, art would become boring anyway. The important thing is, art is for everyone. So start looking at it with your own eyes. Thank you.